He shut me down while my phone warned me, 2 vibrations, and my entire life split open. The fraud trail wasn't subtle today. It was personal. By the time I saw the truth, their scheme was already exposed.
Stay. What unravels next was never part of their plan.
The phone vibrated against the conference table during my presentation. 2 short pulses, a text message. I was in the middle of explaining to the board why we were hemorrhaging money through a consulting firm nobody seemed to question. 12 directors watching me. PowerPoint running. Coffee getting cold. And my phone, face down on that polished mahogany table, just told me something had gone very wrong. My name's Sarah Chen, 37 years old. I'd spent the last 9 years at Sentinel Financial Technologies in New York, building a compliance department from 3 people to almost 40. VP of Compliance. The person who's supposed to catch problems before they become disasters. I just didn't know I was married to one of the problems. The phone was on silent. Mostly. I'd forgotten to turn off vibrate. Stupid mistake. I never made mistakes like that. Except lately, I'd been distracted. Things at home felt off. My husband Michael had changed. New schedule. Late meetings. Weekend calls he took in his car instead of our apartment. And the questions. Always asking about my work. Casual questions that didn't feel casual anymore. But right now, I had to focus. I was presenting findings that could save the company millions. The bills from Apex Strategic Consulting keep getting bigger, I said, clicking to the next slide. The conference room had Christmas decorations up. Tiny white lights around the windows. Someone's idea of festive. It was December 18th. Week before Christmas. Everyone wanted this meeting over so they could start their holiday plans. 43% higher than when they started 2 years ago, I continued. But they're not doing any more work. Richard Holm, our chief operating officer, shifted in his seat. He'd been tense since I started this section. I compared their rates to other consulting firms, I said. Apex is charging 18 to 22% more for the same work. Consistently. For 2 years. My phone vibrated again. 2 more pulses. Someone was really trying to reach me. Sarah, Richard interrupted, his voice smooth and reasonable. These are specialized consultants. Premium pricing is standard. I nodded, kept my face neutral. Right. Which is why I pulled comparable rates from 3 similar firms. Apex is still way above market. Margaret Torres, our CFO, leaned forward. Do we know why the costs increased? Any scope changes? That's the problem, I said. The original contract hasn't changed, but the payments keep climbing. My phone lit up. Not vibrating this time. Just the screen glowing as a 3rd message came through. I could see the preview notification. Upside down, but readable. It read, I filed for divorce this morning. The rest cut off. Everything in my body went cold. Divorce. Michael filed for divorce. This morning. While I was preparing this presentation, Sarah? Margaret's voice. The next slide? I blinked. 12 people staring at me. Yes, I said. My voice sounded normal. How was my voice normal? Sorry. The recommendation is simple. We stop paying Apex until we understand what we're actually getting for our money. Richard's jaw tightened. That seems extreme. It's what we do when the numbers don't make sense, I replied. The board discussed it, Richard argued. Margaret supported me but wanted a softer approach. David Langford, our CEO, sided with Richard. Let's have compliance and operations review it together, David said. No payment freeze. We need to maintain the relationship. I wrote it down, closed my laptop, tried not to look at my phone. The meeting ended. I stood up, started gathering my things. My phone was burning a hole in my hand. I needed to get out of this room. Sarah, a moment? Richard, standing by the door, blocking my exit. Everyone else filed past us into the hallway. About those vendor audits, he said, voice friendly, eyes cold. We should discuss your approach. Some of your assumptions seem aggressive. My phone vibrated in my hand. Another message. I can schedule time with you later this week, I said. I think we should talk now. Not a question. Just a few minutes. I glanced at my phone. 4 messages now, the notification light blinking. Richard, I have a call. This won't take long. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. You're making serious accusations about a vendor that's been critical to our efficiency improvements. Apex has done excellent work. I need to understand why you're targeting them. Targeting, interesting word. My phone vibrated again. Number 5. I'm not targeting anyone, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm flagging financial problems before regulators do. Sometimes compliance gets too focused on small details, Richard said quietly. Apex is helping us grow. A few billing inconsistencies aren't worth damaging that relationship. A few billing inconsistencies. $2 million over 18 months. I really need to take this call, I said. Firm this time. I walked past him, down the hallway, heels clicking on polished floors. Behind me, I heard Richard say something to someone, but I was already pushing through the bathroom door. Empty. Thank God. I locked myself in the furthest stall and finally looked at my phone. 5 messages from Michael. I opened them with hands that wouldn't stay steady. First message. I filed for divorce this morning. Second message. Papers are being served to your office today. Third message. Don't call me. Don't come to the apartment. Fourth message. My lawyer will contact you about splitting assets. Fifth message. This isn't personal. We've grown apart. You know that. I read them twice. Then a third time. 13 years of marriage. Ended by text message while I was in a board meeting. A week before Christmas. I pressed my hand against my mouth, trying not to make sound, trying to breathe. Not personal. We've grown apart. Both lies. I'd known something was wrong for months. The distance, the changed passwords, the new schedule. But Michael hadn't just been pulling away. He'd been asking questions about my work, about my projects, about compliance audits, specifically about vendor reviews. 3 weeks ago, dinner at home, casual conversation. That consulting firm you mentioned, Apex something? What do they actually do? I'd told him. Operational efficiency, process optimization, strategic advisory. 2 days later, he'd asked if I was planning audits on outside vendors. I stood very still in that bathroom stall. Phone in my hand. Messages glowing on the screen. And something shifted. I pulled up my email, searched for Apex Strategic Consulting, found the incorporation documents I'd pulled for my research, scrolled to the business registration. Apex Strategic Consulting registered in Delaware. Principal officers, Daniel Vance and Michael Chen. Michael Chen, my husband. Jesus. I sat down on the toilet lid because my legs quit working. Michael owned the company. The one I'd just flagged. The one Richard was protecting. My husband wasn't cheating on me. He was stealing from my company, and Richard, our COO, was protecting him. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for someone to come in, use the bathroom, wash their hands, leave. Long enough for my hands to stop shaking. Long enough for something cold and clear to settle in my chest. I pulled up my personal email, the secure folder where I kept important documents. I'd created it 3 months ago when Michael started acting strange, called it insurance. Inside, our joint account statements, the deed to our apartment, only my name, purchased before we met, my retirement account beneficiary forms, our marriage certificate, screenshots of every weird conversation about my work. I'd known something was coming. I just hadn't known what. Now I did. The apartment. My name on the deed, but the mortgage wasn't cheap. $3,200 a month. Could I afford it on my salary alone if he contested the prenup? Stop. Focus. One problem at a time. I stood up, smoothed my skirt, checked my reflection in the stall door's metal surface. Composed. Professional. No one would know my marriage just ended. No one would know I'd discovered my husband was stealing from my company. Not yet. I walked out. Took the elevator to my office on the 14th floor. Closed the door. My assistant Maya looked up as I passed. Everything okay? Fine. I said. Hold my calls for 20 minutes. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, pulled up the vendor files, every invoice from Apex for the past 2 years. I'd been looking at them as a compliance officer investigating billing problems. Now I was looking at them as a wife whose husband just filed for divorce. The patterns jumped out immediately. Apex's first invoice to Sentinel, March 2022, 14 months after I met Michael. Michael and I met at a fintech conference in San Francisco, March 2021. I was attending a compliance workshop. He was presenting on operational efficiency. We met at the hotel bar, started talking about compliance challenges. He'd been charming, asked great questions about my work. 3 months later, we were engaged. 6 months after that, married. And 4 months after our wedding, Apex started billing Sentinel. I pulled up Michael's LinkedIn. Co-founder, Apex Strategic Consulting, founded January 2022. 2 months after our wedding. I leaned back in my chair. Our entire relationship had been a con. Michael didn't meet me by accident. He'd researched me, found out I worked at Sentinel, identified me as someone who could help get contracts approved. The courtship, the quick engagement, the marriage, all designed to get Apex in the door. My phone rang. I ignored it. It rang again. Maya knocked. Sarah? Legal department. They're delivering papers for you? Right, the divorce papers. Have them sign for it and bring it here, I said. Maya's face showed concern. Are you? I'm fine, just personal business. She left, came back with a manila envelope. I waited until she closed the door before opening it. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Michael Chen versus Sarah Chen. Filed this morning. Standard language. Irreconcilable differences. Equitable distribution of assets. One interesting detail. The filing listed our apartment as jointly owned. It wasn't. I'd bought it 2 years before we met. Only my name on the deed. Either his lawyer was incompetent or they were counting on me not to check. I scanned further. One line caught my attention. Effective termination of spousal health insurance coverage. Great. Company insurance would cover me, but the premiums would jump. Another $600 a month. I set the papers down. They'd file for divorce fast. Try to destabilize me before I could act. Make me emotional. Distracted. Then they'd discredit my audit. Call it vindictive. A spurned wife attacking her husband's business. But that only worked if I played their game. I wasn't going to play their game. I pulled out my phone. Found the name I needed. James Riley, law school roommate, corporate attorney specializing in fraud. We'd stayed friends, got lunch every few months. He'd been at my wedding. I texted, "Need to hire you. Urgent. Can you talk today?" Response in 30 seconds. 4 p.m. my office. What happened? Everything I started to type. Deleted it. Will explain in person. I spent the next 2 hours pulling documents. Business registration, tax filings, contract history, invoice details, payment records, cross-referenced the billing with our project timelines. The fraud was clean. Michael and Daniel had set up Apex as a real consulting firm. They did actual work, enough to justify the contracts. But they padded every invoice, 15 to 20% over what they should have charged. Small enough that individual items looked normal. Big enough that over 2 years they'd taken almost $2 million extra. And Richard Holm had approved every contract. I checked Richard's hiring date, March 2022. Same month Apex started billing us. Richard came from a private equity firm. I pulled up his LinkedIn connections. Daniel Vance, Michael's business partner, had worked at the same firm. They knew each other. Richard wasn't just protecting Apex. He was part of the scheme. I sat back and laughed, quiet, bitter. My chest hurt. My husband hadn't just married me to steal from my company. He'd helped install a COO to make it work. And when my audit got too close, when I started flagging the payments, they decided to cut me loose, divorce me, get me out before I connected everything, except I'd already connected it. My phone buzzed. Text from James. "Can you come at 2 instead of 4? I checked the time. 1:15. See you at 2. I gathered everything. Laptop, files, divorce papers. Walked out. Heading out, I told Maya, attorney meeting, personal matter. I took a car to James's office in Midtown, watched the city slide past the windows, pedestrians, food carts, Christmas shoppers with bags, the usual Manhattan chaos wrapped in holiday lights. My phone buzzed again. Michael. Text. Sarah, I know this is difficult, but it's the right thing for both of us. I didn't respond. Another text. You're going to be fine. You've always been independent. Delete. Another. My lawyer will reach out next week about the apartment. We can settle this fairly. I turned off my phone. James's office was 42 floors up with a view of Bryant Park. His assistant showed me into a conference room. James came in 2 minutes later. Tall, prematurely gray, expensive suit. Sarah, he said, hugging me. What happened? I sat down, opened my laptop, told him everything. He listened, made notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he whistled softly. Your husband targeted you to set up a fraud scheme, married you to maintain access, and he's divorcing you now because your audit got too close. That's the summary? I said. And your COO's involved. Yes. James tapped his pen. The divorce filing says he wants to split assets. What do you actually share? Nothing, I said. The apartment's mine. Bought it before we met. We have a joint checking account with maybe $8,000. Everything else is separate. The joint checking. We'd been paying down my student loans from that account. $40,000 still left. Now that was all mine to handle. And he knows this? James asked. He should. We signed a prenup. Light agreement, but it said premarital assets stayed separate. James smiled. Not a nice smile. Then his filing's fraudulent. He's claiming joint ownership of property that's legally yours. What do I do? 3 things, James said. First, we respond to the divorce. Fast and aggressive. Contest everything. Second, we gather evidence on the Apex fraud. Every invoice, every payment, every connection. Third, we report to the SEC and FBI. FBI? Wire fraud. Conspiracy. Maybe money laundering depending on how they moved the money. He leaned forward. This is criminal, not just civil. Something loosened in my chest. How long? Depends how fast we move and how much evidence you have. I've been documenting for 3 months, I said, and I have access to all company files. Good. Forward everything to my secure email. I'll get forensic accountants. He paused. And Sarah, this is going to get ugly. They'll come after you. Try to discredit you. Maybe accuse you of sabotage. Let them, I said. He studied me. You're not upset. I'm focused, I said. Good, he said. I left at 3:30, went back to Sentinel, sat at my desk until 7 p.m. working through files. Maya knocked. You should go home. You've been here since 6 this morning. Home. The apartment Michael told me not to come to. My apartment. My name on the deed. My down payment. My mortgage. I packed up and took a car to the Upper West Side. The building was a pre-war co-op near Riverside Park. Doorman, elevator, safe. I walked through the lobby, took the elevator to 8, stood outside 8C, used my key. The living room was dark, empty. Michael's stuff was gone. His laptop, his books, the coffee table sculpture he'd bought last year, the wedding photos, everything. I walked through the apartment. Kitchen, his mug gone, bedroom, his closet empty, bathroom, toiletries removed. He'd cleaned out while I was at work. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the empty space where his things used to be. And felt nothing. No grief, no anger, just cold clarity. He thought leaving would hurt me. He had no idea what he'd actually done. He'd freed me. I pulled out my laptop and got to work. Over 3 weeks, I built the case. 3 weeks. That's how long it took. James brought in forensic accountants. They traced the money. Sentinel to Apex. Apex to shell companies to Michael and Daniel's personal accounts. We found evidence Richard had taken kickbacks, payments disguised as consulting fees to a company he owned. We documented everything. Then we went to the Securities and Exchange Commission. They moved fast, interviewed me 3 times, reviewed my audit documentation, cross-referenced with their own analysis. Then they called the FBI. 2 agents showed up at my office, Patricia Morrison and David Chen. No relation to Michael, thankfully. They were professional. Asked if I'd cooperate with a federal investigation. Absolutely, I said. They recorded my statement. Took everything James and I had compiled. Then Agent Morrison said something that made my chest tight. Ms. Chen, we've been investigating Apex for 6 months. Your husband and his partner have done this before. 3 other companies, same pattern. Target someone in compliance, build a relationship, get contracts, overbill. How many others? I asked. 4 that we know of. You're the 5th. 4 other women. 4 other marriages built on fraud. What happened to them? Morrison's face was careful. 2 lost their jobs when the fraud was discovered. Companies blamed them. 1's fighting wrongful termination. The 4th took a settlement and signed an NDA. I felt sick. Did any of them report it? No. You're the first who fought back. Good, I said. Agent Chen added something else. Daniel Vance has priors, 2 fraud charges from 2019 and 2021, both settled before trial. So this wasn't even Daniel's first time. They'd refined the con across multiple victims. The investigation accelerated. Federal subpoenas, bank records frozen, assets locked. And I went to work every day, ran my department, presented reports, acted normal. Richard started avoiding me, stopped coming to meetings I attended. My 401k, 13 years of contributions. The prenup protected it, but I'd still lost time. Years I could have been saving more if I'd known this was all a con. Then, 6 weeks after that text in the board meeting, 2 things happened. First, James called. Turn on Channel 7. I pulled it up on my laptop. Live footage. FBI agents outside Apex's San Francisco office. 2 men in handcuffs being let out. Michael and Daniel. Michael's face. The confidence gone. Just confusion. Fear. The reporter. Federal agents have arrested 2 men in connection with a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme targeting financial technology companies. I watched him duck into the FBI vehicle, watched the door close, and I felt it. That weight I'd been carrying for months, gone. Second, the SEC announced an investigation into Sentinel for procurement fraud. Richard Holm was placed on leave within an hour. But before that happened, he came to my office. I was reviewing files when he appeared in my doorway. His face was pale. Tie loosened. You went to the SEC. Not a question. I looked up from my laptop. I reported financial irregularities. That's my job. You destroyed 3 careers. No, I said quietly. You destroyed them. I just documented it. He stared at me, trying to figure out how I'd known, how I'd beaten them. You underestimated me, I said. Everyone does. He left without another word. 2 hours later, he was on administrative leave. David Langford, our CEO, called me to his office. I walked up expecting to be fired. Sarah, David said, I owe you an apology. I waited. I should have listened to you about Apex. Instead, I let Richard convince me you were overreacting. The board wants you to stay. As Chief Compliance Officer, C-suite role, direct report to me and the board, complete authority. I looked at him. I need it in writing, with a clause that no executive can override my compliance decisions without full board vote. Done. And I want to hire an external firm to audit our entire vendor portfolio. Complete review. Also done. One more thing, I said. I want to establish a fund for employees who report fraud and face retaliation. Legal fees, income protection, career support. David nodded. That's brilliant. Legal will draft something. He paused. I'm sorry about your husband. About everything. Don't be, I said. He did me a favor. The divorce finalized 4 months later. No contest. Michael's lawyer tried claiming the apartment. James destroyed that with the deed and purchase documents. Michael got nothing except a federal fraud conviction and 7 years in prison. Daniel got 9. Richard took a plea deal. 5 years, full cooperation. The SEC investigation found Apex had stolen $2.3 million from Sentinel over 2 years. The money was recovered. I was promoted. Got the C-suite office. Started rebuilding compliance with real authority. And then, 6 months after everything imploded, I got a call from Jennifer Park. Ms. Chen? I was one of the other women. Boston. I sat down. I remember. I wanted to thank you. For fighting. For testifying. My lawyer says I can reopen my case now. That's good, I said. Could I talk to you about that fund? The Whistleblower Protection Fund? I pulled up my calendar. How's next Tuesday? She laughed. Relief. Tuesday's perfect. We met at a coffee shop in Midtown. Jennifer was 34, sharp, competent. She'd been a procurement manager when she met Daniel at a conference. Same con, same fraud, same betrayal. I blamed myself for years, she said. Thought I should have seen it. You were smart, I said. They were just better liars. That's not failure. That's being human. She cried quietly. I'm going to fight them now, she said. You have my help, I said. Over the next year, 3 more women came forward. Women Michael and Daniel had targeted. Women whose careers had been damaged. We helped them all. Legal fees, career counseling, income support. The fund became a model. Other companies created similar programs. And I discovered something. I wasn't broken by what happened. I was stronger. Not because of resilience narratives, but because I learned something fundamental. People will underestimate you, use you, betray you. And the only person who can protect you is yourself. So you document everything. Trust your instincts. And when the moment comes, when they think they've won, you show them what they missed. My marriage was a lie. My husband was a criminal. My company almost collapsed. But I didn't. That's the part they never saw coming. I still work at Sentinel. Still live in my apartment on the Upper West Side. Still meet James for lunch every few months. Michael's in federal prison. So is Daniel. Richard's out on supervised release, working compliance in New Jersey. And me? I'm fine. Better than fine. I built something that can't be taken by lies or fraud or betrayal. I built myself, and that's something no one can touch.